Welcome to the Two Grumpy Bastards podcast, where feelings aren't felt and snowflakes melt. Buckle up, it's gonna be a bumpy ride.
These confines with a monarch's voice cry havoc! Let slip the dogs of war. To my city steps. You insult my queen. You threaten my people with slavery and death. Oh, I've chosen my words carefully, Persian. Perhaps you should have done the same. This is blasphemy. This is madness. Madness. This is Sparta!
They painted over ants.
That ending never gets old.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that never gets old. Yeah, you're sitting there looking at your phone the whole time, not even watching the video.
I was trying to remember when that came out.
Yeah, the two things that I noticed from that video, I don't know that I've ever seen that video ever in my life. There'd be no reason for me to, but I did not know that Ace of Base consisted of two hot European chicks. I didn't know that. Plus Spaghetti Moschetti there dancing around. I don't know what that guy was doing. He was,
Well,
I don't even know what he was for, what he does. Oh my
the two
God.
hot chicks I remembered. I also remembered having that song stuck in my head for like a month.
Right. Yeah.
Because
I don't know what to say.
everywhere in the spring of '93.
I don't remember. Yeah, 94. So yeah, I was already into the grunge in the Seattle scene and doing my bouncing and, doing my nightclub stuff like that. So I don't even think I knew that song existed. It was all about Soundgarden and Nirvana and those guys, Candlebox and all that stuff I was into. 94 was kind of fun. That was my last year of being carefree before the Army goes, hey, remember that scholarship we gave you when you dropped out of medical school? That was in 95 when I had to go in the Army. So I successfully avoided them for like almost 3 years.
Well, '94 was the year I went to the wonderful place known as Advance Camp. It was also when the last time the United States hosted the World Cup. So of course, the biggest soccer event in the world. Yes, I'm a big soccer guy. I couldn't go to any of the games because I was stuck going to 6 weeks.
I do remember that.
Fort Bragg.
I do remember that. Was that the team that had that long redhead goalie?
It wasn't a goalie. He was a defender. That was
Alexi
Wallace.
Yeah,
Alexi Wallace. Yeah,
that's the only one I remember.
He's still a soccer commentator, but he no longer has the goatee and red poofy hair.
Yeah, it's all good. So, hey, Russ, do you know why I played that particular video and part of that song?
Because it's shit in 1994?
It is. And this is episode 94, and we are talking about 1994 today. So before I get into my tales of woe about my own life, let's do a quick review of the music from 1994. And the good news is we can go fast through this because it really sucked.
Yeah, if that was the best song of '94, it really sucked.
Yeah. I Swear, All for One, which was on the 1993 list as and they use that. The only time I've ever liked that song is Oh, what was that movie that was great? Ryan Reynolds is a successful movie or no, music producer, and he has to take Anna Faris on a trip, and then he ends up in his hometown. And
I'm not familiar with this movie.
he was in love with Amy Smart, but he was really fat and he had braces and stuff like that. And now he's hot and all that kind of stuff. But he was trying to get Amy Smart to be because he was in love with her, but she put him in the friend zone forever back in high school, and now he's trying to get her to love him, but he starts reverting. He's like really klutzy, and he actually gets like a mouth injury and has to have braces again and stuff like that.
Oh,
And
jeez.
then
No,
on a
I'm not familiar with this movie. This was
it's
long before I knew Ryan Reynolds existed.
I'll have to send it to you. And that song, he's always doing videos and filming himself in the mirror when he was fat and in high school with his afro, and it's fun just to see Ryan Reynolds in a bodysuit. I'll send you
One
the
day you're
link.
going to be Deadpool.
Let me write that down because I think you'd really enjoy it, and it's actually pretty chaste. You could watch it with your daughters, I think.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds interesting.
God, I can't remember what it was called. It's very
Probably
fun.
watched by dozens of people.
And no, it's actually fairly popular. And Anna Faris is hilarious as the drunken sex pot kind of Christine Aguilera character singer that he's trying to.
She's always funny.
She is funny. She's a Seattle girl too, so that's always cool. We're proud of her. Although her and Guardians of the Galaxy are no longer married, that kind of sucked. That was
That
kind of
does kind of suck because I thought that was a cool marriage.
I did too. But it didn't work, and they were both Seattle folks, which is kind of interesting. Um, let's get through the music real quick. I swear I'll make love to you by Boys to Men. I have no idea what that is.
I
The
remember that song. It's another one of those, love ballad things.
Yeah. Ugh. Ugh. Not a boy band or ensemble band with that kind of music fan. The Power of Love by Celine Dion. Couldn't tell you what that is. Not that I hate Celine Dion, I just don't listen to her.
Song I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, Hero by Mariah Carey. Don't listen to Mariah Carey. Never listen to Mariah Carey. Won't ever listen to Mariah Carey. Stay, I Missed You by Lisa Loeb. I do like that song, and I
I do
love
remember that one because
Lisa
she had the
Lisa Loeb
glasses.
is yeah. Lisa Loeb's great. Very talented. She's one of the divas I liked back in the day. Let's see, Breathe Again by Tony Brett.
Very hip college type of song.
It is, yeah, it was. I would listen to it if it came on the radio, though. I'd listen to it.
Yeah.
Breathe Again by Tony Braxton. I don't remember that, but I do like Tony Braxton as an artist. I thought she was talented.
I remember bits and pieces of that song.
All for Love by Bryan Adams, Rod Stewart, and Sting comes in at number 8.
Oh God, yeah.
I don't know that I even remember that.
I do because it was attached to the Three Musketeers movie.
Oh God, then I totally don't remember it. Never seen that. Yeah, I was
You
so into.
you never saw the Three Musketeers movie with Charlie Sheen,
Never.
And Kiefer Sutherland, Gerard Depardieu, and young dude. Now he's on one of the CSIs.
Oh, Chris, was he the one from Son of a Woman?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't remember his last name. I want to call him McConaughey, but I know that's not right.
No. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Oh, Huckleberry went to bed. He's mad. See, they're mad at me. I'll tell you. I'll tell you why they're mad at me. All She Wants by Ace of Base. Don't Turn Around by Ace of Base came in at 9 and 10. So they had 3 songs in the top 10.
That tells you what a shitty year that was.
Really shitty year. So that's the top 10. I don't see a lot of reason to review the rest of this. It's like Janet Jackson, R. Kelly, Madonna, lots of I'm trying to think if there's anything that Warren G and Nate Dogg. I'm not finding anything on here I like. Oh, Shine by Collective Soul. I was a Collective Soul fan. Sheryl Crow, All I Want to Do Is Have Some Fun. I didn't get a kiss her
So
on
you
the
met
lips.
her once?
She kissed me on the lips.
Okay, nice.
True story. Hard Rock Casino in Las Vegas. Yes. That was it. She just kissed me on the lips. It didn't turn into like this big thing, but she I know it didn't work out between her and Lance Armstrong because she remembered that kiss all those years later and said if only
That must have been it.
that handsome army officer that was in the Hard Rock Casino that night and told me he thought my music was amazing and that I was amazing. Yes. She must have been high as fuck. No, I was very pretty back then, so I get it. Okay, let's move on.
You're modest about it too.
That was then. I'm not pretty now. Shit. Um, Domestic box office for 1994. Huge improvement over the music here. This was a good year for movies, especially
Got this guy. There's two I can think of off the top of my head.
Go
They've
ahead.
got to be up there.
Go ahead.
I'm almost positive I know what number one is. Got to be
Go ahead.
Forrest Gump.
You're very close. Forrest Gump's number two. There's another
You're
fantastic.
kidding.
There's a fantastic movie that finished. Only less than $1 million ahead of it for gross.
All right, what's the movie?
Lion King.
I was about to say Lion King, but I didn't think it was number one.
Yep, it was number one.
9.
Just edge out Forrest Gump that year. A movie that I absolutely adore and I probably need to watch again someday is True Lies, the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jamie Lee Curtis, Tom
I
Arnold.
didn't see True Lies until the end of the Florida phase of Ranger School when we were in the Gator Lounge and they were letting us, chill before we headed back to Fort Benning.
Good movie. Fun movie.
Different, especially when Arnold Schwarzenegger like bangs the dog's heads together.
Tom Arnold being as crazy as he is, he was funny in that movie.
He was funny in that movie. He's one of the few. That's one of the few movies he's funny in.
Yep, and Jamie Lee Curtis was great. Real quick story: I was at a friend's house. His family, I believe, was Peruvian. He was in the cave with me, and it was a really neat family. Went over there and had a wonderful dinner. But it was extended family. The grandparents were there. And we're watching that movie, and when Jamie Lee Curtis starts dancing because Arnold Schwarzenegger's making her dance and take off her clothes, the grandpa looks at us. He must have been 80 years old, and he goes, "Fantastico." It was great. All right, number 4, The Santa Claus, Tim Allen's
Yeah.
Christmas. I don't know. I didn't mind the first one. It was okay. It was kind of.
I never really cared for any of those, to be fair.
Yeah, they're not great, but a horrible movie that finished in the top 5. Number 5 is The Flintstones. You remember that pile of burning?
The one with John Goodman.
Yes, and one of the Baldwin brothers.
Yeah.
Oh,
horrible.
That was terrible. Terrible movie. Another movie that was a big disappointment because they I didn't like that they changed everything up about the Tom Clancy era was Clear and Present Danger.
Yeah. It's okay.
Didn't Willem Dafoe play Clark?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not a good choice. Not a good choice.
Who would have been a better choice?
Yeah, and I love Willem Dafoe, but just bad casting. Speed, of course, was right up there. I'm surprised I didn't finish higher because that was kind of a sensation.
I've never seen the whole movie.
Yeah, that was a sensation. I remember it. It's one of those movies you see once and you're good, Number 8 was The Mask, which was kind of a big deal. The technology, the CGI behind that.
Cameron Diaz's theatrical debut.
Yep. Back when she could actually kind of act a little bit.
Yeah.
Number 9, which is a great movie. I don't need to see it again, but it is a great movie. Mrs. Doubtfire.
Love that movie. Couldn't get made today.
Nope, couldn't get made today. 10 was Interview with the Vampire. I've never seen Interview with the Vampire to this very day.
I saw it. It was actually, I was on a date on that movie. One of the few times I actually had a date in college. And first of all, choosing Tom Cruise to play Lestat, not the best choice. It was a very young Brad Pitt and exceptionally young Kirsten Dunst. She was like 10 years old or something in that movie. And she had her first kiss with Brad Pitt in that movie. It's an interesting story.
Yeah, I do remember all that hubbub surrounding it. That's part of the reason I probably didn't watch it because it's like,
Yeah,
it was like it was on Entertainment Tonight all the time. They talked about it back when that show was on. A movie that I love that I forgot about, but I need to watch again was Maverick. Do you remember that one?
Oh, I love Maverick.
Yeah, Mel Gibson and the guy who what was his name?
James Garner.
James Garner, the guy who actually played Maverick.
Yep. And see, I didn't know that because I didn't know that there was a TV show prior. But it's one of those. It's one of those. Don't expect a serious Western, just a fun, kind of thing. And it was good. And Jodie Foster actually looked pretty good in the movie.
Oh yeah, I always thought Jodie Foster was a beautiful lady. I always did, and she can be such a ridiculously good actress. Not always, but she can be.
Yeah.
Contact is still one of my favorite sci-fi movies. One of my
I love Contact.
Yeah,
Contact.
it's so good.
Wasn't that 97?
That sounds about right. I watched it. I watched it again, I think this spring, maybe. And I was like, yeah, it holds up. I mean, the CGI ain't great and all that kind of thing, but it really does hold up. Matthew McConaughey's character was a little unbelievable, but other than that, but
Yeah.
all right, all right, all right. I'm the president's priest.
Yeah.
Let's
I'm
see.
sure we'll talk about that movie in a couple episodes.
Number 15 is Stargate, which I really liked for its time.
I like it was a little bit different than most of what we're used to out of sci-fi movies.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it. Kurt Russell, and then later, what's his face? What's his name? During the TV series,
Spader, James Spader.
No, it was the Kurt Russell character. It was what's his face? MacGyver actor.
Oh,
Paul Dean Anderson or something like that. What's his
yeah,
name?
Richard Dean Anderson.
Richard Dean Anderson went on to play that character in the Stargate series. A lot of them.
I've never seen the Stargate series. I've only seen the movie.
I've been told to wait it out, and I think I started it like in the spring, and I got through the first 10 episodes, and it was so schlocky in some of those episodes. But I was told by a very good friend, wait it out. You get into a couple of years where they get shit together and they get a budget, and it's really good. So I might try again. Let's see. Pulp Fiction at number 19, one of my favorites of all time.
I've seen it. It was too weird for me.
You're not a Quentin Tarantino fan?
No, not really.
Oh God. He's one of my two favorite directors. I bet you can name my other one.
Christopher Nolan.
You got it, baby.
Yep.
Guess who couldn't sleep last night and watched all 3 fucking Dark Knight movies last night?
You did.
This guy. No exaggeration. I watched all 3 back to back to back. Tombstone, but it came out December 24th, so it's way down the list. But Tombstone, great movie.
Love Tombstone. One of my favorites.
It's fantastic.
I'm sure we'll talk about that more next episode because I'm sure it went up the list after that if it came out in December.
Sure it did. And I think we'll leave it there for now. But some really good movies. And I'm looking further down the list, and there's still some really good movies here. But let's get on with things. We're going to talk about this real quick. We don't need to spend a lot of time on.
You don't want to do TV shows?
Yeah. Guess what the number 1 was by a pretty decent margin anyway.
60 Minutes?
That was number 2. This was the first year that Seinfeld came out on top.
Oh, 94 was also, I believe, the first year of Friends.
You are correct. That came in tied at number 8 with Murder, She Wrote.
Boy, those are diametrically different shows.
Speaking of diametrically different, did you see that Kathy Bates is the new Matlock?
Matlock was a guy.
I know, but they rebooted it and it's Kathy Bates.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll never see it, so.
No, I won't either. It's so fucking ridiculous. You got to reboot everything.
I had not heard that, but okay.
Yeah, just like they tried to do the Wonder Years and it was like a black family in Compton or something.
Well, you'd think Hollywood, the problem is Hollywood doesn't want to come up with anything new and original because that is risk. Unfortunately, the stuff that they're rebooting, they reboot crap.
No, they do. Yeah, well, or what they reboot something good and then they kill it.
Well, that's what I mean. They reboot something that was loved and they don't do it well and it's crap.
Right. I got some sort of beetle crawling on my desk here. I'm going to set it free. Hold on.
Crunch.
Lunch?
It's crunch.
There we go. Be free, my friend. All right. Let's see, where were you? 60 Minutes. No, Grace Under Fire, which I did not like. Number 4. Number 5, Monday Night Football. It's about time it starts climbing in the ratings here.
Testosterone is starting to get back up there.
Yep. 60 Minutes. NYPD Blue, a show that I really liked, came in at number 7.
I've never seen an entire episode of that.
Yeah, I really liked it. I really did.
And I had no desire to see Dennis Franz's butt.
Dennis Franz was a fantastic actor, though.
I do remember my dad saying that he actually cried when Jimmy Smith's character got killed.
Yeah, that was rough. That was rough.
I never saw it, so I didn't get emotionally invested, but he did.
Yep. No, that was rough. I like that actor a lot. Murder, She Wrote, Friends, tied for number 8, and then Roseanne comes in at number 10.
This is about
And
the time when Roseanne started going downhill.
yeah, a little bit. I'm looking at the rest on the list, and there's nothing really I don't think to talk about here. A lot of these I don't even recognize.
Like what? Name some. I might know them.
Me and the Boys,
No,
Dave's World.
no.
God, that looks terrible. I remember Sybil because that was what's her face from
Yeah.
Moonlighting.
Sybil Shepherd. Yeah.
Yeah. This is when some of the God, I can't believe Law and Order has been on TV that long. It came in at number 27. I think that might have been its first year.
I don't know. Possibly.
I don't watch shows like that at all. Ever. The Martin Short show. I
I
think that
remember
was
that one.
I think that was pretty short-lived. Oh, thank you.
That's terrible, Coop. That's absolutely awful.
Hope and Gloria.
It's familiar.
Yeah. It
You
sounds
can stop
terrible.
reading now.
It sounds terrible. Sorry. Okay. And Madman of the People, which was only on for a year, but somehow it showed up at number 12 with Dabney Coleman. Yeah, I have no
Never
idea.
heard of it.
How did it show up at number 12, but it was only on for a year? That's
'Cause that
weird.
was the year that it was great, I guess.
It was literally canceled in a year. Okay. We're enough of that frivolity. I think that might have been our quickest one so far.
We came in well under the Willis limit.
We did. The Willis limit has been achieved, Mr. Willis. For you, buddy. For you. All right, so here's my current predicament before we get into the guts of our podcast and our video. I'm going to try to keep it as clean as I can today so we can actually publish a video and not get it blocked like our last several. But perfect storm of events. Let's see. I told you about the wallet missing last week. That was scary. And then this week, you know how you sometimes, it's not like I'm poor, but you sometimes have a bill that pops up that you forgot about that was going to pop up like annually or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, that happened to me. So it was like, oh, I better not go to the Huskies game this weekend. I better stick close to home. And then another bill popped up and I'm like, oh, that really sucks. So 2 days ago, I bought all the parts to do a tune-up on my car. I was going to do it myself. And while I was taking the dogs to a park and letting them run around, it wouldn't start. Started grinding a little bit. Finally, I let it sit for a while, got it started, but I could smell something.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm 90% sure with the symptoms, it's my starter. So I managed to get it home, and it's sitting there dead for 2 days, waiting to get I can't get a starter right now.
Could have been worse. You could have been dead in the Huskies parking lot.
Yeah, well, I went to a park here locally. So the bad thing is though, this city is shit. And if I'd had to leave it somewhere overnight and not get it towed, it would have been totaled and completely fucked off, and catalytic converter and everything else would have been cut out of it. So it's been sitting outside for a couple of days, and I've been doing other projects waiting for the parts to get here. And then was it yesterday or this morning? I can't remember. My friend / landlord gives me a text and he said, water's going to be out for a couple of days.
God, for what?
Well, we got a shitty water situation here anyway. I almost never have pressure. Long story. It's an old ranch with old plumbing and stuff like that. And, I live in a separate residence than they do. So I don't even know. I have to go out there and prime the pressure tank sometimes to be able to take a shower. Go out. It's a pain in the ass. I fucking hate it. I don't, I don't hate my landlord, but I really hate that situation. It's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Toilet doesn't flush every third time because of the water pressure. I mean, it's not a nice situation. So water's down. Turns out the pressure tank is blown.
Uh-oh.
That's kind of a big ticket item.
Yeah.
So not only I could have went and stayed with somebody, a friend, or well, I don't know, somebody. I could have stayed with Brandy or somebody, I don't know. I don't know that I have any other friends I could stay with right now that would take me and my dogs in. I mean, can't board the dogs because I don't have transportation, and I can't get a hotel because I don't have transportation. So I'm stuck in this place with absolutely no water. So I'm basically dry camping.
Okay.
I went to the store and bought 8 gallons of water. It's lined up in the hallway. Trying to trying to find a water source so I can pour in the back of the tank so I can actually have a toilet and not have to walk out in the pasture with a shovel. It's fucking great. Not only that, that's the reason I look like this, because I was supposed to cut my own hair yesterday morning, but I can't do that without taking a shower after. And haven't showered. Probably won't
I
take a
can smell
shower
you
for a while.
I can smell you through the internet.
It's fucking terrible. I mean, worst case scenario, when I do get paid, I guess I can always get a taxi, go into town, rent a hotel room for the sole purpose of showering. Um, but
Well,
anyway,
hey, an addendum real quick to show you that I can relate at least a little bit. Um, last last December or January, one we had a cold snap here in Memphis, and the the pipes froze because they're not used to the cold weather. It shattered, so we had to shut our water off until we could get a plumber out here to fix it. So, walked out, for a few days. I was walking out to the horse field to pee. Luckily, my body is pretty regular. I would wake up in the morning, and instead of going to the bathroom and then going to the gym, I'd go to the gym, and I'd use their toilet there to do my number two business. That lasted about 3 days. Luckily, we've got an emergency stock of water here that we use for drinking and stuff. But it was bad. I think the temperature got down to -1 or -4, which
wow.
doesn't happen here. There's a cold front that came down through, and yeah, I was actually in my office when I heard what sounded like icicles falling off the roof, and it was the pipe in the wall shattering.
That's terrible. Yeah, that's such a pain in the ass. So I get it. I get it. Yeah, no, I was going to join a gym here next week, but even if I had a gym to go to, I don't have transportation right now. I should have put a little bit more. So, but I'm taking this. The reason I have a fairly good outlook on it is I'm looking at every one of these events, including the Walt being lost and all this other stuff, and going, I can actually take a lesson out of each one of these about my lifestyle right now that I probably need to do a little bit of a correction on.
Yeah, I
You
get
know,
it.
like even though I've been putting off maintaining this vehicle because I'm going to get rid of it and get something new here in the next couple of weeks. I've been doing minimal, but it's shot. I mean, I bought it as a secondhand vehicle for next to nothing, and I've put very little effort into it other than oil changes and tires. And
Mhm.
so I understand it's not a great vehicle, so shit's going to go out. I've got 200,000 miles on it. Um, so it's those cars.
I got over 170 on mine.
Yeah, those cars are not built for that. They're just not those style. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm a little bit of a quandary. Hopefully I can get the car at least fixed soon. And I could even find if it's going to take a while. I have no idea how long. He said a day or two. It's going to be longer than that. I know what that means. Yeah. So the funny thing is he listens to this podcast, and the bastard is going to the motherfucker. Just kidding. Just kidding. I love the guy. I love the guy. They do a lot for me in a lot of ways. But yeah, he said, yeah, I think we're gonna go stay with the wife's parents for a couple of days. You're gonna leave me on your fucking property with no water, no
That's funny.
shower. Are you? Fuck you. You should be here suffering. I'm like, oh my God. You hearing this, buddy? Over there?
That's
You hearing this?
hysterical.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. That's the biggest fuck you I think I've ever gotten in my life. My landlord's like, well, deal with the water situation. We're gonna go stay with somebody else.
Didn't even bother to offer you a ride to a hotel or a friend's house or something.
I know. It's like, can you take, yeah, anyway. All right. Let's get into it. I got a couple of videos to share, actually, I think 3, and then got some commercials at the end. I know there's a couple things we want to talk about, but I just wanted to kind of talk about some of the appearances that have been going on, and I uproariously watched a few videos on YouTube. Kamala Harris's attempts to actually put herself in front of the public,
Oh God.
and some of the other things that are going
I want
on.
her to do this more.
I do too. The woman, with all of the people that got TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, this is really who you're voting for instead of Trump. Really,
Yep.
really, this is the dumbest fucking person that's ever run for this office, and that's saying a lot. I mean, Al Gore was a dumb fuck, and who Michael Dukakis was a stuffed shirt back in the day when he, there's been some dumb people, especially on the left, but she takes the cake. I mean, she's not even dumb. There's nothing there. There's nothing there.
This is the perfect epitaph on the warning of when we were all saying, with this election, any other two candidates. Well, one of the sides gave us another candidate, and it turned out that that candidate's actually worse than the one they originally had.
Right. Can you don't want to offend the always Trumpers, because obviously there's a lot we talk about all the time. There's a lot about Trump that I like. I mean, I do. I love his tenacity. Policy wise, I can't really argue with much. DeSantis would be ahead by like 12 points, dude. I'm serious. Nikki, it would be ahead. Tulsi
Youngkin
Gabbard
would be ahead by
Yeah.
9 or 10 points.
Yeah, it's crazy. Put anybody else out there, and this wouldn't be a tight deal. But I really hope that Trump does get in and pisses everybody from the left off so much that they actually cease to exist. They just like cramp up like a spider that you spray with Raid.
The thing is, every single condition is set for him to not only win, but win in the blowout. But all the polls are tight. Now, we know what the polls were like in 16 and in 20. They were off by about 4 points each.
Mm-hmm.
But never get cocky. You never know what's going to happen. You do have some stupid people out there.
Why is this light shining on me?
It's the light of God.
Thought I had it blocked out.
You blocked out God? Why would you do that?
No, just
I know. It's every indicator is there where Trump should get 330 to 340 electoral votes. But as long as he gets 270, I'd be fine. Again, he's not my top choice. The trade-off with Trump winning is it probably means the nomination of J.D. Vance in 2028. But the funny thing, just real quick, and maybe we'll talk about this. I'm not going to bring this up until you show the videos, because I think you may show a video that might amplify one of my points. So I'll be quiet. If you don't, I'll bring it up at the end.
I got 3 videos, so we'll get through those here. Let me see. I can't remember how to do this. Just kidding. Got it. By the moon and the stars in the sky, I'll be there. All right.
Please don't sing that song.
Here's a short one.
And as vice president, there wasn't a single thing that I did that she couldn't do. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to delegate her responsibility on everything from foreign policy to domestic policy.
Boom.
That's actually the video I thought you were going to play.
Boom. Go ahead and explain to our listeners what the significance of that statement is. It might seem pretty banal, but it's not at all.
Well, there are several different significances. First of all, just on a purely political level, Kamala Harris has done everything she can to pretend that she's not the incumbent, that she hasn't had a lot of say in policy and everything. And Joe Biden came out and was like, yeah, Kamala's been in charge of everything. I put her in charge of all kinds of stuff.
Right.
So it ties her back to the administration. The second thing, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am, because I think old Joe is still kind of pissed off about how I got pushed out the door.
Mm-hmm.
This was sabotage. I think this was sabotage by Joe Biden in damning with faint praise of, hey, Kamala, she's definitely my right-hand woman. She's done all kinds of stuff. And when she's been trying desperately to distance herself, because Biden's not a popular guy. He was going to get crushed big time. And because it wasn't just the fact that he is non-compos mentis, it's the fact that his policies are terrible on everything from the border to inflation. And so I think old Joe kind of sabotaged her. And as an addendum to that, something else I was going to bring up, there are several other Democrats, 3 I can think of off the top of my head, that do not want Kamala to win in 24. That's Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, and Josh Shapiro. Because if Kamala wins, there's not going to be an open Democratic primary until 2032. And
Right.
At that point, those 3 are irrelevant. They are old news that, unless they get into the Senate or something, which probably won't happen, then they're old news. So I know that they may say all the right things in public, but they don't want Kamala to win because they want to be able to run in 2028. I will say that if Kamala loses, I think I've said something about this before. I think the Democrats do get somewhat serious and probably nominate Shapiro in 2028. My dream for Kamala losing would be not only does she lose, but somehow she loses Minnesota as well, loses Minnesota and Pennsylvania, which would show the folly of selecting that dumbass corgi that she picked as her running mate.
God, he gets worse every time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna post the side by side of this actor that he reminds me of, and people will laugh. I can't remember the actor's name, but actor that I've always hated because he looks so weird all the time. Anyway,
what's he been in?
Oh, what the hell was that? He's been in a bunch of stuff. He's a character actor. He's very short. He looks like Walls, a shorter version of Walls with maybe a bigger nose. What was the name of that movie with Kurt Russell and Sylvester Stallone where they were badass?
Oh, Tango and Cash.
Tango and Cash. He was in Tango and Cash.
Was he the warden in Tango and Cash?
No, he was their little sidekick, their little buddy that was in the lab.
Oh, the dude that was in Scrooged.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Tim Waltz, and he could be brothers. Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
And if he was Tim Waltz's brother, he'd be telling everybody he's voting for Trump.
That's true.
All right.
Yeah,
go ahead.
See, that clip of Biden is, I think that was subtle sabotage because he wasn't talking to, a Republican audience that isn't going to listen to him anyway. He was talking to The View. That's the Democratic base. Mm-hmm. Those are the suburban white women and a few undecideds who are suddenly reminded that, they can now lift $100 worth of groceries in one hand.
Absolutely. Dovetails perfectly into this very short video that I'm going to show you next.
Okay.
Perfectly. Okay.
No, please don't do that.
We just need to move past the failed policies that we have proven don't work.
Yeah, I think I've already seen that in the Trump ad.
Is it already a Trump ad?
I believe so.
Yeah, you mean the policies that have been in place for 3.63 years that are and oh, by the way, you were just basically indicted by your boss saying, hey, she was delegated, she had all this responsibility, she could do what I could do. So failed policies, you're right, we do need to move past those. Your policies, bitch, and the same policies that you're going to put in place with steroids if you get it.
I hope I'm not going to undercut your next video with this, but it's hysterical that she's decided now she's going to go to the border. A politically very stupid move. If she had done this a year ago, or even when she was going to originally, it might have been fine. Doing it now is transparent pandering, and it reminds people of how bad the border is. So for her best bet would have been to just ignore the border from now through the election. But going now actually, I think, hurts her politically.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you're right about that. I see my other dog in here. I don't know where she went.
She's out peeing somewhere.
Yeah, she might have run off again. I don't know where they got out. Anyway, patrolled the whole fence line.
Couldn't look for water.
I think they went. They have plenty of water. I take care of my dogs before I take care of me. Trust me, I'm that guy. So let's look at this last video here, and we can kind of sum everything up. This last video I got in the political way, anyway. Is that the right one? Yep.
I promise you I will be pragmatic in my approach. I will engage in what Franklin Roosevelt called bold, persistent experimentation. Because I believe we shouldn't be constrained by ideology and instead should seek practical solutions to problems. Realistic assessments of what is working and what is not. Applying metrics to our analysis. Applying facts to our analysis. And stay focused, then, not only on the crises at hand, but on our big goals.
just don't get tired of that edit that I put together, the last two. So what just terrified me and just made me literally sick to my soul and listening to that video, and I've listened to 1,000 videos now of her talking nonsense. That was as bad of corporate speak as I've ever heard. It was like this turd of a human being that came into Weyerhaeuser to the place out of the South. He was from Clemson, and he'd taken read all the books, read all those leadership management books. Didn't have a lick of leadership in him, and he's talking to a room full of Teamster union guys about, I'm going to put money in our emotional bank accounts, and using all the Stephen Covey and all the other bullshit types. You and I've known Army officers who talk in these lingos, and it's fucking horrible. You and I both have graduate degrees in yours is it business?
Yes.
Yes, I have a graduate degree in organizational management and leadership. A lot of it was great, especially the Lean Six Sigma certification part of that and all that. But a lot of it was listening to. I noticed that once I started kind of getting up there and being like G3 over a whole bunch of stuff and kind of being in the combat service support, working with those folks a lot more. A lot of those colonels talk like that in the combat service support world. But to be honest with you, I heard plenty of combat arms generals and colonels talk like that too, with absolutely no substance, just throwing out a bunch of fucking, as they say, word salad. We need to do an analysis. I worked for a guy briefly. He was always talking about, we need to do an analysis. You mean this that I already did? Here.
Yeah.
I already made the decision. Just sign off on it, you fuck.
He's the guy that didn't read the book, but still trying to give the book report.
Exactly. And that was she's reading off the teleprompter. All the people that write for her need to be fucking fired. And there was absolutely no substance to that. I was on X earlier and saw that Barack Obama was talking about how powerful that speech was and all the policies and ideas that Kamala Harris has. And I was like, she's never had an idea in that empty head of hers that wasn't put there by something else. She had a lot of other things put in that empty head of hers too, by the way, that weren't ideas. That's how she became powerful. But just saying, that's Kamala, and that's the kind of they just need to let her speak more. Ben Shapiro preaches that Trump, for the last bit of this campaign, be smart, let her step on herself, and then make comments on her lack of policy. That's her. You know that old saying that you think he's an idiot and then he opens his mouth and confirms it?
Yep.
That's Kamala Harris to a T.
Well, two things here. First of all, she cited FDR. Well, FDR's bold experimentation extended the Great Depression by like 7 years.
Right.
And most economists are in agreement on that. So not sure that's the role model you want.
Right.
The second thing, and the thing that worries me, look, maybe I'm going to annoy some people here, but I don't care.
That'd be a shocker.
I do not like early voting. I do not like mail.
I don't either.
Voting by mail. Because it undercuts this last 2 months. It used to be nobody really paid attention to the presidential race until after Labor Day. So much can change in that 8 weeks between the beginning of September and Election Day. And unfortunately, there's going to be a lot. I mean, that's how, look, I know that John Fetterman has surprised us out of Pennsylvania and been a much better senator, especially regarding Israel, than I ever thought he would be. But that's how he got in, because the debate between he and Dr. Oz didn't happen until after early voting had already begun in Pennsylvania. And so a lot of people went ahead and cast their ballots for him. And a lot of people would not have done that if they had seen the debate where he was, mentally scatterbrained. Kamala Harris, a lot of people are going to go ahead and vote for her probably based on they don't like Trump, and she has had a honeymoon from the media and hasn't had to talk. If you put her in front of the camera for the next 6 weeks, next 5 weeks, whatever it is that we have till Election Day, people, the more she talks, the less people like her. They project onto her what they want her to be, but she is not Barack Obama. I didn't like Barack Obama's policies, but the guy could give a good speech. That's how he became president, was he gave great speeches. And Kamala Harris, I don't know if you heard the frothing she talked about. Well, the community's children are the community's children. Like, well, first of all, nice doublespeak there. Second of all, my children don't belong to the community. My children are my children, not your children. So,
Right.
don't get bent. If she would talk more, the more she talks, the more votes she loses. That's probably one of the reasons why they have not put her in front of cameras. They have not put her in front of a not super friendly reporter. The only time she's gotten done sit down interviews have been with reporters that drool over her almost as much as she used to drool over Willie Brown's Willie.
Which is funny because Trump will let anybody interview him. You know,
he and JD Vance have done like 80 interviews over the last couple of months.
Yeah, and it's almost always with people that are semi-hostile or at least confrontational.
Oh yeah,
almost always. Yeah, and I can't believe that people that are going to vote for this woman are so weak-willed and have such a lack of soul and fucking moxie and grit that this stuff doesn't bother them. Because if this was my candidate, I'm like, who the fuck is this person?
Yeah.
What a pussy. I guess you wouldn't call her that, but I would.
That Iran and China and Russia are licking their lips over the prospect of a Kamala Harris presidency.
Right.
It was interesting. There was some dumbass former brigadier general, Stephen Anderson, I think his name was, that tried to say that Vladimir Putin is going to fear Kamala Harris because she's in a mixed marriage, in a mixed race marriage. He's going to fear her because of her gender and her skin color. And I'm like, dude, are you high?
What?
Yeah, it was on MSNBC. You should see those clips.
That's the case. The most vacuous human being. I literally could drive into town, which is like 5 minutes from here, go into like the grocery store and find 5 people in a line of 7 that have more intellectual capacity than Kamala Harris.
Yeah, they would strike more fear into our enemies than Kamala does.
Let me tell you this, folks. I live in a county that's farmers and loggers for the largest extent, and I have no problem. I'd have no problem with that, finding that many people that have an intellectual prowess. She's got education behind her, and she's got great words because people write all of her stuff, but she can't speak. She can't speak off the cuff. She has no idea what she's doing. I always thought that was kind of a big thing if you're a politician, that you have to have a little improv skill, and she obviously never has.
Well, that's because she came out of California, which, as long as you're the top dog Democrat, you're going to get elected in California.
Right.
Yeah, she doesn't have the capacity for that. Everybody talks about, Trump's crazy. Well, you know what? On the world stage, it's kind of okay if your adversaries perceive your leader as a little bit crazy, because it keeps them off balance. It keeps them not doing, maybe what they otherwise would have. I don't know if you've ever heard this story about when Trump was negotiating with the Taliban. First of all, I don't know that I was a big fan of that. Now, Trump's withdrawal was supposed to be conditions based, and Biden completely blew that up. But when he was talking to the head of the Taliban, he just walked in and said, "Hey, look, when we're doing this withdrawal, if a single American soldier dies, we are going to kill you." And then he pulled out a picture, and it was a picture of the dude's house, and he put it in front of him, and he got up and he walked out. If you haven't seen that story, you should.
No, I do. I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's one of the most badass things I have ever heard a president do, ever.
Mm-hmm.
And it does create fear in our enemies, and our enemies need to fear us so they don't go off and do something and get us involved in a larger war. One of the things I fear with Kamala Harris is she may start something or be more willing to go into something simply to prove that she's strong. And that's how we get into very stupid wars, especially wars with possible wars with nuclear powers like Russia and China.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I'm tired of talking about Kamala Harris tonight. It's the same thing. It's lather, rinse, repeat with her. And the fact that anybody, especially anybody with any intellect or any testosterone, would vote for her, you need to check yourself. You really need to, fellas, you men out there, as they like to say in Letterkenny, why don't you reach down your pants and give your balls a yank? Because I think you need to.
Well, if you want to read the couple of lines out of Kamala Harris's autobiography about how she got started, you just got to say, and then I told Willie, blah, blah, blah.
Nice. let's transition. What do you got for us tonight? I know you got some stuff on your mind.
I mean, I think you covered, to be honest, I think you covered most of it. There's some other things I'd like to cover maybe in the barracks. I read an interesting article about reset being necessary at West Point, about some of the stuff that's being
Yeah, that was
taught there.
interesting. That was interesting. I did read that.
I did get contacted by a soldier that I served with. I helped train, and then I taught when I was at the Command General Staff College, saying that, hey, we're getting all kinds of folks that are getting out of the military. We're having trouble meeting recruitment numbers. We're having lieutenant colonels and colonels that are getting out the moment they're able to. We've never seen anything like it. And I said, and he was like, we're trying to survey the force and figure out what's going on. I'm like, would you like a possible answer to this? You might not like it. And he said, yeah, sure. Hit me with what you got. I said, okay. The Army's target demographic, for the most part, are men from the South and the Midwest. We get recruits from California and Washington and New York, but the vast majority are going to be, young men who went hunting with their dads or worked in a garage from the South and the Midwest.
Yep.
And they don't feel very welcome in the United States military right now. They're not into this transgender shit. They're not into the DEI stuff. They get the impression that that the administration hates them. And so, and it might be fine if there were other things that were working, but there's not. The assignment process is messed up. I relayed this story from when I was actually an instructor at CGSC, because I get really sick and tired of hearing generals talk about you need to have a work-life balance. And they tell me what it was like when they rose to the ranks and they were workaholics and didn't have that work-life balance, and they made, multiple stars. If you want to actually encourage people to have a work-life balance, then how about promoting some people to the general officer rank who have work-life balance?
Sure.
And aren't these guys who are in the office 16 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week when they're not out in the field training?
Yeah.
I brought up, that's one of the things I brought up. I brought up the fact that we've got, I brought up that, we're making accommodations for transgender soldiers, and there aren't enough blue-haired baristas at Starbucks to fill the ranks. So you're pissing on your target demographic for folks who are not going to want to join up anyway.
Right. It's
go
ahead.
Yeah, you can appease the blue-haired barista and they'll chant right on all the time, but they're not going down to the recruiting station. They're not shipping off to basic training. Those folks just are not doing it. So you're appeasing people who are never going to join in order to piss off people who would be willing to join. They come from, another thing is these people that are the target demographic come from heavily patriotic families usually. And when they see you shitting on the values that they grew up with, they're inclined to either get out or not join in the first place. And
yeah, I don't get that either. I have always said it. When you have a tiny, one of the reasons I'm a libertarian and I would line up on the conservative side of that is because I am not somebody who believes in a policy where the tail wags the dog, especially if it's a tiny tail and a huge dog. And we have now let the country be run, everything dictated by a tiny tail with a big dog on the other end of it. People have no idea what a small percentage that the LGBTQ community is. They're just I guess they don't have jobs and they're able to protest and be really loud. So people think they're like this huge number of people. And no, the vast majority of Americans and even a lot of the Democrats that I know just want to do their jobs and have a decent life and go home to their families every day. And maybe buy some toys and go on vacation a couple times a year. It's not that shit. It's like the Dylan Mulvaney thing with Budweiser. What the fuck were they thinking? Who were they catering to with that? And then the CEO or whoever it was at the time, I don't know if she's the CEO or the marketing director.
her name was, I think, I could be wrong here. I believe her name was Allison Krauss. She was the VP of marketing.
VP marketing, and her comment about we need to stop catering to the frat boy.
The frat boys are like, okay, fine.
Who you think's buying your beer, bitch?
Yeah.
Who do you think's buying your beer?
You're not giving Craftsman beer that's just exquisite. This is cheap piss beer that people drink when they're watching Sunday football with their buddies.
If you want to cater to a different crowd, then come up with a decent beer that actually tastes good, that's actually, can compete with craft beers, and then have your commercials show mixed race and gay couples drinking at a table, which a lot of and I'm not even making fun of mixed race and gay people. I'm saying that would be a legit marketing strategy,
But the problem is that the demographic there is just not big enough to replace the demographic you just pissed off.
Right. Well, and like I'm saying, don't put this fucking dude who pretends to be a woman's face on the can of the brand and the style that manly men like to drink when they don't really want to get pissed drunk and they just want to drink a lot of beer. That's what I'm saying. The kind of crap that you can buy 2 beers at the ball game and that's one of them. You know what I mean? So that and Modelo, I think, depending on where you're at, where your pro or college team is. But anyway.
People they want to cater to the folks who shout the loudest. I understand that those people are loud because they don't have large numbers. They have to be loud to get noticed.
Right.
And when you do that, again, you risk alienating your core audience, whether it's with beer, whether it's with the army, whether it's with movies. Disney's alienating parents with what they're putting out. Parents was like what bought Disney stuff.
Exactly.
Like everything from the Acolyte to Agatha all along. I'm like, guys, you're not learning the lesson. If you want to be a small niche company, fine. The Disney brand used to be family friendly and enormous.
And
it's just not anymore. It's suffered a lot because they're putting out the Acolyte. They're calling Agatha all along the gayest series of all time. That's not a critique. I mean, they actually were saying that on the red carpet this is the gayest MCU series of all time. And I'm like, well, that sounds great. But again, most folks aren't into that. You thought they'd have learned their lesson with the Acolyte, but they didn't. Are you drinking recycled piss water?
No, I can't drink. The drinking water here is bad anyway. That's too high of a rust content. Because this ranch was built right behind the coal mines that are here, the coal deposits. So I buy all my water. I do but I'm the cheap guy who has like the 10 jugs of empty gallon jugs in the back of his rig and pulls up and gets the 50 cent per gallon water.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm that guy.
For those who aren't watching the video and are just listening to us, made that comment when Koop pulled up a bottle of water and made this enormously off when he drank it.
It doesn't taste very good. I don't know what's wrong with it.
I was wondering if he had like the water reclaimer where you need a gallon of urine to make a cup of water.
Yeah,
and that's drinking.
I was drinking it from. I dumped out what was left in my Fremen suit, and yes, I got that out of the tap on Battlestar Galactica. So anyway,
series I've still never watched all the way through.
God, that's insane. I'm rewatching it right now. I've already seen it like 5-6 times, but like if I'm just like sitting there kind of dazed and dozing, I'll put an episode on and just like, fuck, this is so good. This is so good. All right. Before we get off on that tangent, I got a couple of videos I need to show you, Russ. I lied. Okay. So here's a couple more videos.
Okay.
I fibbed to you a little bit. I said there's going to be 3, but there's going to be just a few more. Hold on just a second. Oh. Okay. What happened to those? Hold on.
These are great videos.
Hold on, everybody. It's okay.
Wonderful videos, the best videos ever.
Best videos ever. Some would say these are the greatest videos ever played. Let's see. All right. I found them. I just didn't move them into the right folder. Here we go. Here's video number 1. Just about ready. Speaking of Battlestar Galactica.
Space, the final frontier. Aye, Captain. You can choose your space with a soda.
God's furniture and mattress.
Don't cling on to that old mattress. Dual Comfort Serta mattresses let you have softer firm on the same mattress. Boldly dream like you never dreamed before. Beam on board to the side that's right for you. And at Dodge, set your savings for stunning.
Captain, you won't be undersold? Make it so. A logical choice. Live long and sleep.
Okay. I get the impression they probably did not get copyright permission from Paramount to abscond with some Star Trek intellectual property.
Oh my God. I love that commercial. I forgot I had that one. You guys who listen to us on podcast only, just go over. I'm going to put this YouTube video up the day after podcast goes up. And this one should get through. I don't think we talked about anything too controversial. Um, this is worth just going, even if you have to like fast forward all the way towards the end and see this. That's a real mattress store, and that was a group of colorful. I think most of them were Indian, probably the same family. Folks who did a parody on Star Trek. My favorite thing of the whole thing is where I lose it every time is when it's the USS Enterprise, but instead of the saucer, it's a mattress that says USS Enterprise. It's the fucking nacelles. And then the guy that's playing Kirk is cuddled up with Tribble in bed. Did you notice that?
Yes, I did.
That was amazing.
Like
Okay,
I said, I don't think they got Gene Roddenberry's permission for that commercial.
I don't think they did either. But if you were Paramount or if you were one of the, would you do anything about that, or would you just like?
No, because I'm sure they'd want. I'm sure the store would want them to do something about it because you'd get them all kinds of publicity.
That's right. Okay, I got one more. This one is a little more subtle. It's not as obvious as you would think, but just you'll notice why I played this one.
Ever dreamed of owning an RV? Thought you couldn't afford one? Surprise, surprise, surprise! Tom Rayford, Richmond, Indiana has motorhomes for $245 a month. Fifth wheels, $99. Travel trailers, $89. Tent campers, $39. Remember, the family that plays together stays together. Why rent? Own your home. Mobile homes, $172. Sectional homes, $245.
Save today, Tom Rayford's way.
Truck caps, $99. Call 1-800-RAYFOR-RV. Sale ends soon.
I might have changed. I might have chosen a different name.
Even if your last name is that, don't you call your like mountain RV or whatever?
Yeah.
Ocean Breeze
Horizons RV. Come to Horizons RV.
Yeah,
going to Raper RV is probably not the best.
Oh, can you imagine? How did he ever like have a family or get married or anything like that? Tom Raper RV. That's the guy's name. And for the YouTube filters, we're not like talking about the actual act. We're talking about somebody's last name here. Oh my God. And what you can't help but go a little bit like intellectually Beavis and Butthead on it. And it's like the family that plays together stays together because rape. I mean,
yeah,
there was and I liked it was closed Sundays so we can get in. Oh, fuck. I forgot about that one too. I was going through my archives and I'm going, God, I forgot about some of these. Those two were very good. I don't know if I can top those next time we do those, but I'll try to do those again on a semi-regular basis because I love like not my words, famous podcaster says that commercials are the perfect little paradigm for what's going on in our culture at that time that those commercials were made. It really is. And you look at the commercials, I've played a few of them, but you look at those commercials like the old, like the Budweiser or the Schlitz malt liquor and all of those commercials from the past, where it's a bunch of like retired football players and they're harassing each other, and then a hot waitress will walk in the room and they're like,
yeah,
they'll do that on the commercial, or the one where Billy D. Williams for Schlitz malt liquor.
For Colt 45, I think.
Colt 45. I make all my women drink a Colt 45. And it's just like, oh my fucking God. Oh, simpler times, my friend, simpler times. So, did you want to finish out with a couple of jokes? I didn't do any jokes because I did those commercials, but feel free if you want to throw a couple out.
I've got a couple of them.
All right, let's do it.
I'll try to keep it down so, my wife and daughter don't hear and want to know why I'm being gross.
Yes, I promise I'll have some for next week.
Okay, I'll get closer. Okay. What's the difference between weed and pussy?
I don't know.
If you can smell the weed across the room, it's good weed.
That's a big difference.
Okay, here's another one. So I was trying to tickle my daughter's feet, and my wife was like, "Wait till she's born."
Ah!
And the last one. All right. So a guy goes in. I'm sorry. A woman goes into a pharmacy. And it's like, I need some cyanide. And the pharmacist's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You can't just be bold about that. We don't just give out cyanide. That stuff's poison. She says, yes, I need cyanide. I'm going to poison my husband. He's like, ma'am, I can't fill a prescription for, I can't fill cyanide just because you want to kill your husband. That's not right. She pulls a picture out of her purse and says, here's my husband in bed with your wife. And the pharmacist says, you didn't tell me you had a prescription.
I do have a joke I've been wanting to tell you for a while, and it's not one of my original ones. It was told to me by a Vietnam vet who was very funny. There's this bar in Ireland, and an old Irishman walks in and sits next to a couple of his chums, and I'm like, "How you doing, McLeod?" And he's like, I'm frustrated. You build 10 houses for somebody, and nobody says, hey, here comes McLeod, the home builder. Nobody gives you credit for that. You pull a guy out of the river who's drowning. Nobody goes, hey, look, here's McLeod, the lifesaver. Nobody ever gives you credit for that. But you fuck one sheep.
I kind of saw that coming. I knew it was going to be some kind of playoff of that.
That's an oldie but goodie, but I thought I would share. That's one I've been wanting to share for a while. With that, we should probably close it out. Anything else?
Now, I got a couple more jokes, but I need to go back and remember what they were because the notes I wrote, I can't remember exactly what the punchline was.
All righty, man. We will get out of here. I will have this posted here in just a little bit. Should be easy to edit. The podcast will be posted tonight, and I think we'll get the YouTube through the algorithms no problem tomorrow. So we shall see. I was pretty restrained today. I was not restrained last week.
No,
but I was not.
Okay.
I was pretty angry, but I had a couple people message me and saying, "I get it. I get why you're angry." So me too. But anyway, try to keep it a little bit lighter this week. I will guess I'll see you next week, my friend. And I know Endless Ranters actually they're doing their stuff right now. So
yeah, one of their Quana actually said, we should come to their happy hour instead of podcasting tonight. I was like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, probably not. That started a long time ago, so they're almost done. Anyway, I think, isn't that right?
I think they may have a few minutes left in happy hour. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I'm gonna produce this and go get on.
I actually have to help. Actually, I'm gonna go help my daughter study for a social studies test.
Get on with my waterless night, which is gonna be baby wipes and bird bath before I go to bed, I guess, tonight instead of my
real quick note. I don't know if you remember, but somebody made the mistake during the Iraq War of telling the journalists that because we didn't have a lot of running water over there, that we were taking showers or baths with baby wipes, and suddenly the American people responded, and I had enough baby wipes to wallpaper Mosul.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, that happened. Yeah, it's interesting. Baby wipes were such a commodity, baby.
Yeah, but then they sent way too much.
Yeah, flowing in the wind everywhere. Yeah, I get it. But baby wipes are one of the greatest.
Felt like I was in an Asian massage parlor or something.
One of the greatest inventions in history, though. It really is. An Asian massage. Glad you have experience with that. I do not. So
I'm just going off what people told me, man.
All right, folks, we're going to get out of here. Thanks for listening. Remember, you can support us by looking at our merchandise. One of the most important way, I'll have the commercial at the end here as usual. One of the most important ways you can support us is really get on and write a review and subscribe to us on YouTube and write a review. Our YouTube channel is lagging a little bit and I need to put some effort into that. So I'm gonna redo the artwork for that tomorrow morning, probably before I put it up. So I kind of like our new logo. I like it better. Instead of
I like it better because you no longer look like a Viking. You look like a Minnesota football coach.
Like a Minnesota? And I do not look like a Minnesota football coach. Unless it's a pro coach in the NFL or something like that. You're right. I don't look like a screaming Viking. So I don't know that I'm going to grow my beard again. I don't know. I probably will this winter, but a different version than that. That one's hard to take care of. I don't like that.
Maybe I'll grow a beard too.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I don't know that I can.
All right. Remember, folks, give us a shout, twogrumpybastards@gmail.com if you want to hear anything or you have any feedback for us. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, Keep in mind that Coop screens all the mail and only tells me stuff that's horrible to me and doesn't give me any.
You know, we haven't really gotten any mail lately. From listeners, mostly people trying to solicit our business by, you know, being media consultants and stuff like that. So I noticed that your videos did not have that many views or keywords. I'm like, you know, no shit, because I do them. I'm not that smart. So really, genius. Thank you. Anyway, remember, I don't know what I was even going to say. Appreciate you listening. And as we like to say, remember to keep your focus and
stay wokeless.
All right, buddy.